Hey guys, it's a nice hot summer day. Sun's just starting to set. I'm going to take you on a little tour around the garden. Let's check it out. So a lot of you know that since I came back to the United States in 2020, this garden was something I started here, a big project, a big passion project that I always wanted to do. Always wanted to make a garden in Thailand too, and hopefully that's going to happen after I go back sometime in the future. And I tried to use permaculture design principles. So I wanted to keep things locally sourced. I wanted to keep things enduring in some way. I couldn't plant a lot of like fruit trees and things of that nature. I'm also living in a valley, so we don't get early morning sun. You know, from this side there's the forest. From that side there's also trees, the forest, and the hill. So the sunlight during the day is not that long. But we do have a lot of amazing things growing here. Just takes a little bit longer for them to get going. Season's a little bit short. It gets cold faster in the fall and then in the winter. But it's been an amazing thing to build this kind of abundance into the land here instead of just having this as a grass lot, right? So I brought in a lot of wood chips. I bought a lot of seeds, of course. I also let a lot of the natural vegetation grow, like this right here you can see. This is stinging nettle plants. It'll give a mildly uncomfortable sting if you brush up because it has little hairs with some kind of toxin in, but it's short-lived, doesn't bother you. But one of the amazing things is, this is edible plants. If you cook it, it completely dissolves and neutralizes that toxin, and it's highly nutritious and it tastes really good. It tastes like extra rich spinach. So I've let some of that grow here wild. I've also let some few other select plants in the beds grow just to maintain some of the natural biodiversity. Also, the beds that I've made, I used logs and branches from around the area to build kind of a terrace coming down the hill. So you want to retain water when it gets dry, right? If it's not raining for a while, and you want to minimize your time watering the garden too. I didn't set up any kind of system for pipes to distribute the water around. I use the hose when I have to, and I pull the hose through the garden. There's a couple posts to help me navigate the hose through so I'm not pulling it through the beds. It worked out pretty great. So yeah, everything is on slope as best as I could while also maintaining nice, easy to navigate pathways through the garden, any direction that you want to go. You don't have to spend too much time walking around something to get there. And yeah, I think it's fits in really well with the space here. Um, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Now this one is one of my absolute favorites. It's rocket or arugula, and the taste is just so incredible. It's got this pepperiness to it, but it also tastes kind of buttery to me. And it's one of the few greens that I've been growing that the deer don't like. So it grows really prolific. It grows really fast. Um, it's going to almost starting to go to seed soon, I guess. The flowers are kind of drying up a bit here. And yeah, it's seeded really well in where I planted it last year. So I'm thinking, I'll shake it out a little bit into the rest of this bed, and probably the rocket will keep growing back every year, more or less on its own. Love it so much. Just munching on some, or salads, or on sandwiches. And the strawberries, you see I have this hoop system. First we put over some shade cloth, and I guess some groundhogs or some raccoons, they ripped through the shade cloth and got in there, ate all the berries. And then we put over a big tarp, and I left the tarp off one night, and the deer came and just ate all the leaves practically of all the strawberries. So now I'm just kind of giving up with any idea of strawberries this year. And as part of the idea of the garden too, I mean, there's things that are like here to my right, we have a huge bed of potatoes. There's going to be a lot of potatoes in there again this year. Things that are kind of, survival crops that you're going to have a lot of no matter what, basically. And then there's the other things that, I don't mind the deer eating them. Like also over there, sunflowers. You can see all the stalks minus the leaves. And yeah, it's cool. They can enjoy. They can have the garden buffet. Yummy, yummy buffet, special treats for the deers. And I usually see them every evening, sometimes early in the morning. They'll be right here at the edge of the garden, usually coming in and coming to munch on some stuff. This lovely orange flower we got here this year is a butterfly weed, and I planted it from seed last year. It grew into a small plant without flowers, and then these insects were just all over it, sapping away. So it looked like it had died, and early this year it looked like nothing was happening with it, and then just wow, it sprung out. It's flowering like crazy. Seen some monarchs here, and the bees, all the insects love it. Next to that we have some sorrel. This is a really also tasty, lemony tasting kind of lettuce leaf. Asparagus got planted on the first year. Starting to get pretty decent now. Still not, you know, a large edible amount, but I think the third year, fourth year, that's when it really starts to get going. Okay, more deer munchies. I think this was some kale. Maybe it was Brussels sprouts. I can't remember exactly, to be honest. That's some more of the white yarrow flowers. The deer have also been eating that one. And we have lemon balm. Really nice to make a tea, which is good for the evening. It's kind of like a sedative. It helps you to relax. That's some milkweed, I guess, there. And yeah, I've been taking this grass from the neighbor's pasture when she cut it. So I'm trying to put a really nice thick layer of mulch down, so that way Dad won't have to deal with this hopefully too much, to keep it looking tidy for the foreseeable future. We're looking at the tomatoes now. Got this bamboos with some twine string just to tie it up, keep it secure, keep it nice and straight and nice and neat. Yeah, and I hope that you know, if he wants to keep growing some things, he can. Maybe in the autumn when the leaves are all down, just chop the leaves up a bit and throw some leaves on top of these beds too. Should keep the weeds down. Before I put this grass down, the weeds are getting kind of crazy, so that's been my project this week a lot, is weeding, collecting the grass, putting it down on the beds. Still got a few more to do. This whole half of the garden with the wood chips is more like the main area. You see down there, there's also kind of some beds which are like wild garden and wildflowers. So I didn't plant a lot down there, a few things, but mostly I'm just kind of letting grow what naturally wants to grow there. And top bed here, last year we had a lot of beans. I didn't plant too many of that because that can get pretty messy too. But I put some peas in. A lot of tomatoes are growing from my compost. It didn't get hot enough to kill the seeds, and I threw a lot of, you know, fruit and plants from the garden in there from last year. So the tomatoes have been sprouting everywhere. And yeah, sure, some of them might as well let them go ahead. I'm also happy to see these guys growing back. This is a kind of like a hybrid between cucumbers and watermelons, but they're super tiny. They only grow to be about like a centimeter long. You can just eat the whole thing and pop it in your mouth. Pretty nice. Yeah, cucumbers up here growing pretty well. And we also have this guy. This is some morning glory flowers. I want to train this away over to the next pole though, not on with the cucumbers. That'll also get really messy. So we'll keep it going that way. Either some more cucumbers or maybe cantaloupe melons right there. I think they're not going to do so great up here though. They need a lot of sun to really get going. There's the compost box that I made. I was using all the bamboos coming from the neighbors up on their hill. He said, yeah, take as much as you want. Extra grass. We just chopped down the mulberry tree here. Actually, we've been cutting down a number of trees. There were also a few up in the hydrangea over there. That's those big white cluster flower balls you see. That's a whole big thicket of it. And yeah, there's this mulberry tree and a couple trees up in there. They've been getting really close to the wires. So Dad wanted to get those down. And yeah, I was climbing up in there, taking out branches, getting a little bit easier for the drop. And then taking the rope and pulling the rope and hiding behind these bushes and trees down this way and pulling in and running out of the way. not too dangerous really. The rope was really long, you know. We got some nice lettuce in here. I thought there was a snake that had moved in. He was kind of hanging in the area for a couple of days. That was one of his favorite spots, the sun. Him or her or it, whatever. And yeah, haven't seen it lately, but nice lettuce is growing. The deer haven't found this spot too much. And I think by this time of year, there's just so many different things that the deer might enjoy to eat that they kind of can't remember all of them. So some of them end up getting pretty good. This vine also, this should be some squash, some yellow squash. I didn't plant this intentionally again this year, but this is where I had it growing last year. So it looks like we got some more coming in. We got some beets in here. The beets have also been ravaged by the deer. Sometimes they just pull them out of the ground too and don't even eat the whole thing. Radishes. Yeah, big radishes. That's the patch of sage. This is the butterfly bush. It's got purple flowers. They're probably coming in about a month. Some kale, dinosaur kale, really nice one. There's the Tulsi basil. That's doing really nice this year. And a little bit of red basil. Forget the proper name for that. This is bronze fennel. It's pretty tasty too. I should get some of that going in a salad. Here's a whole bunch of different things. Some carrots. That's a kale that the deer has been quite fond of. That's summer savory. Oh, what was that one? Gonna have to come back to you later on that. Dill. Broccoli. And this is fractal broccoli. I don't think I'm going to be around long enough to see a nice head of it. It might not even make a nice head if it's too hot. Broccoli likes it cooler. And we are getting into the heat of the summer now. There's some Italian parsley in there. And what else did we have? Artichoke. And also, yeah, like last year, artichoke didn't do so well. I don't know what the deal is. There were a lot of ants that ended up climbing into it. I don't know if that was part of the issue. A little bit more dill. And I have some onions over here with that rocket we were looking at. How nice they're just starting to kind of bulb out. And making sure to point some of these things out to Dad too. He can enjoy it later because I'm only around for about another 2 weeks now. Getting exciting. It's going to be so... Just what a trip to go back. Can't believe finally going back to where I lived in Thailand for 10 years. Over 10 years. Here we have the blueberries. They're just all young except for this one. A little bit older. That's a many years growing kind of thing. And we need to acidify the soil. Probably do that once more before I go. Here we got a little bit more wild bed. It's a blue flower mix. Some flowers starting to pop up in there. Gonna be some more soon. Look at that guy. Okras. Deer ate that one. Those two are doing pretty good. So is that one. There's our red lettuce again. Okra I really love. A wild bed. We have some lavender at the head here. And this is a lavender that should survive through the winter. So it'd be really booming next year. It's just starting to get some flowers. And we had the nettles. Some other kinds of wild weeds and clovers. Garlic mustard down in there. That's something I took out most of the garden because it can start to change the chemical structure in the soil. It puts out something that prevents the growth of other plants. So I was mostly taking that out. And the yarrow, some of the yarrow turned pink. I don't know how it turned pinkish purple. But yeah, we got different color this year. And I only planted the one kind of the white. And chrysanthemum. Also nice for drink. And there's also cilantro growing in with the strawberries. There's some onions in there too. That was the potatoes we looked at. And of course, at the head of the potatoes is the comfrey. The bees are loving the comfrey. Got these carpenter bees in here all day, every day, all over it. And this has got marigolds that are coming. They're growing up. The sunflowers, which aren't going to grow up. Yeah, I got to weed it too. Get that grass down. Okay, so that's kind of the Kemp side of the garden, but there's still more things going on. In this bed, we got northeastern United States wildflower mix. So I don't know the individual names of these flowers, but this first variety, a lot of different colors. They're all flowering beautifully. There's a couple other types which are coming soon too, looks like. You can see some cool spiky little bulbs in here. Probably see some of these flower before I go too. Last year I had some different things in here that none of it particularly did so well. We got a wineberry cane growing up there now. I got these bottles. I love these bottles. This is an amazing kombucha. It's got this flower of life pattern on the glass. So I'm taking 2 of them back to Thailand with me. And I'm getting the label off, soaking those there, giving a couple away to anybody who wants them. That's that garlic mustard again, growing in here like crazy. Over this whole big section, a lot of mostly weeds. Some flower plants. Deer have also been eating the melon. Melon also didn't do too good here last year anyway. I don't know if it's not enough sunlight. The brick beds that we made here. This is where I put a lot of lettuce last year. I didn't really seed too much here except for more cilantro. There's quite a lot of cilantro growing back there, and I've been eating a lot of it too. And this is oregano in front of it. That grew back from last year, so that's cool. Big source ready to go. That's wheatgrass. That's from last year also. It's been growing all back into the hill there. And then over here we have another wineberry cane growing on its own, and a cucumber vine, which the deer have also been eating. It looks like it's getting established enough now, though, and they like the other things more, it seems. Okay, guys, so that's it. And yeah, happy to share, happy to grow this garden, to make this happen here. Probably would have been making a lot more even if I knew I was staying around. Yeah, more seeds planted, still working on the beds down there. I think wherever I go, if I have the time, I would love to do some gardening. Would have turned this whole yard into a food forest maybe someday. But then again, also, yeah, it's not the ideal place. Like I said about the valley, don't get quite as much sun. Up the woods into the hill here is the neighbor's property, so can't really do anything about that. Yeah, and things take time and energy and resources as well. So slowly, step by step, make happen what you dream. Okay, wish to see you soon. I wish you all the best. Hope you're living close to nature in whatever capacity that makes sense for your place and your time, and that we all find this balance with ourselves